So basically, what I want to do to start is turn it over to you because when you have a question, especially at the beginning of the semester, typically that question is shared by many of your fellow students. So, let me just take a minute now to ask you if you guys have any questions for me.
I have a question. Um, so for a lot of the homework that we have to turn in and like a lot of the assignments, um, for instance, the one assignment, it says an in-class assignment too. So does that mean that we're going to be on Zoom doing these classes, or are these just classes that we just do at home, or is this an assignment that we just do at home on the laptop by ourselves and it's just
Yeah,
called
so that's
in-class
something you'll be
assignment?
doing on your own. And, basically I provide you the guidelines for those in-class assignments in the content section. So usually
Mm-hmm.
what I try to do, it's can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so when you go into our D2L site, you want to go to the content, and the first in-class assignment is due tomorrow evening by 10. And so, well, typically you'll find the in-class assignments underneath the reading for that class period. So the reading for tomorrow is the Mills piece, and then you'll see the in-class assignment underneath that. And you'll click on that and you'll see basically what I'm asking you to do. So the in-class assignment is one of our three forms of assignments, in addition to our book reports, in addition to our reading reactions. And then the in-class assignment is unique because it's based on participation. So as long as you complete the assignment and do what's asked of you, you're going to receive the full 10 points. So in-class assignment 1 is there. And as you mentioned, if you jump to part 2 of our class, which begins on Tuesday. So just a real quick thing, all this basically parallels what's in your syllabus in terms of our course schedule. So if you look at the course schedule, it says for the first of next month, you have the Clark reading. So there's a reading you're going to be doing, and there's your second in-class assignment. What I'm asking you to do for the assignment. And so in addition to having the assignments in the content section of our D2L site, always keep in mind that I discuss the assignments in our class lectures too. So if you watch the YouTube, if you watch the Zoom uploads that I have, at the end of the PowerPoints, when there is an upcoming in-class assignment, I do talk about kind of what I'm asking you to do and give you a little bit of deeper insight compared to what I can provide you in the text only. So that's how those operate. Basically, get those in before the due date. You can work ahead if you want. I posted, as I said in the course log today, I did post in-class assignments 3 and 4, which are the last two in-class assignments for part 2 of our class I will be doing before we get into our first book. So I'll stop that there and turn it back over to you. Any questions? Well, again, feel free just to jump in because, I'd like you to kind of let me know, what you need rather than me kind of telling you things you already know. But nevertheless, last class they ask about, where you get everything. And basically this is where you get everything. And again, it parallels the class schedule. So I always say, it's convenient to have your syllabus out next to you, whether it be on your screen or have a hard copy of it. And then you can basically kind of see how we can make sense of our D2L site in terms of the different modules representing the different parts of the class. And within the different modules, you have kind of the readings for the different days. And in addition to the readings, you do have those in-class assignments. You have the different lectures, both audio versions and not audio versions. And then also I'll be posting the guidelines for book reports in these same parts. And so that's that. And then where you turn everything in. So let's say that you want to do the first reading reaction on the Mills piece for tomorrow, or you know do the first in-class assignment. Where you turn it in is the assessment assignments. And there, basically, you want to find the assignment that you're doing. So here we can look at the first reading reaction opportunity, the Mills piece, and there's where you're going to be turning in the assignment. And it will vary. Some students will turn in PDF versions. Some students will turn in Google Documents links, and then this kind of Microsoft documents. So as long as you turn it in, it doesn't matter exactly how you get it to me, just as long as you get it to me. And I always say reading reaction opportunities, because every reading that you do outside of our 3 books is an opportunity for a reading reaction. And you need to complete 6 reading reactions by the end of the semester. So, Mills could be number 1 for you, but if you don't do the reading reaction on Mills for tomorrow, that's fine. You're not falling behind too much, you're not losing points, because you still have plenty of opportunities to get 6 done. I always say, in terms of advice, I say if you get started early, you get better engaged in the class, you get used to kind of turning in the assignments, you get used to completing the assignments, so you start to feel more comfortable with our course ongoings. And also, it allows you some time to do extra reading reactions for extra credit. So anytime you do more than 6 reading reactions, what you do is earn extra credit for the extra ones. So if you do 9 reading reactions, what I do is I take the 6 highest scores and I count those 6 to the 60 points for the assignment, and then I convert the 3 lowest scores into 3 points extra credit apiece. So that kind of works out in your way as well. So yeah, I think we cover basically the assignments, the reading reactions. Basically, it's the same assignment for each reading. You're going to talk about, here, let me pull up the syllabus. For the reading reactions, for every reading, you're going to talk about what the author is trying to explain, kind of the main idea of the article, how the author is explaining it, kind of unpacking that main idea. And then you have 2 questions about the article. The questions can be directly connected, indirectly connected. So that's just kind of up to you. And then also there's a kind of a 2-page minimum in terms of page length. And as long as you're getting close to that 2-page mark, you'll be good to go. It's only when I see students only getting about 1.5 pages or barely 1 full page, that's when I will take off points, because I believe that for most readings, to really understand what they're doing and how they're doing it, you need to really unpack some ideas, and at least 2 full pages is adequate for doing it. And so for the Mills piece, just as an example for tomorrow, what he's trying to explain is the sociological imagination. So that's kind of the first part of the paper, the what. And the how is how he's explaining it. And he explains it by looking at history and our life stories, and how public life shapes private life. So that's how basically that would look in terms of a paper structure. But I also provide you guys, if you go back to content, I provide you an example of a previous reading reaction done by a student last semester. So sometimes having a visual of it, it helps you kind of make sense of it a little bit more than me trying to explain it to you. So make sure, if you're a little bit confused with the assignment, here, kind of the first part is the what the author is trying to explain. The second part, usually a little bit more in depth in terms of length, a few paragraphs about what's being explained. And then at the end of the paper, the 2 questions are tacked on there. So that's basically what those reading reactions will look like for every reading that you do. So let me stop there and turn it over to you guys for any questions or clarifications.
Yeah, I have a question when it comes to note taking.
Okay.
When do we take notes?
So basically, you would take notes on the lectures that I upload. So, the lectures that I upload and those videos. So currently I'm uploading, the audio versions in two ways. The kind of straight Zoom recording, which basically right now, this is a Zoom recording that I will upload. But also because some students were having difficulties seeing these videos, what I've done is taken the exact same video and uploaded it to YouTube and then kind of linked the YouTube video to our D2L site. So no matter how you access it, basically that's what I do in class, whether it be online class or in class together face to face. And so there, basically, I would write on the chalkboard the same notes that you're seeing in our PowerPoints. So the first class that we would have tomorrow, basically this is what I have on the chalkboard. And what I try to do is have an outline of the lecture and then elaborate on that outline. But because this is online, I try to be a little bit more detailed in terms of the information. So here, like this part here, I wouldn't write on the board in class. I would just kind of say it out loud and you'd be kind of writing notes as we go along. With that being said, I do elaborate further, on these outlines here. So, these are kind of, notes that you want to understand, but also kind of go through the audio versions and kind of listen to how I elaborate on things. And if that helps you make sense of it, if it helps you learn, then you'd be taking notes on that too. And that's, on top of your own notes that you should be taking, as you go through the different readings, as you go through the books. Is there anything else? So just, sometimes I can use this as an opportunity to kind of see what's working well, perhaps what can be tweaked. Those straight links to the Zoom videos, is anybody still having any problem loading those in our D2L site? Because supposedly, the issue is being fixed or has been fixed. It was an issue in terms of servers. So they're going to change the server basically arrangement, which would allow these videos to upload to everybody's computer rather compared to only some. But for now, until I get like 100% certainty that everybody can get the link to these Zoom videos, I'll continue to do the YouTube ones as well. The only problem with the YouTube ones, they take a large part of time typically. So I'd rather not spend 2 hours uploading the same video twice. But if that's going to make sure that everybody gets it, then I'll be doing that. So until kind of further notice, I'll be uploading, the different versions just to make sure that everybody can access the information. So yeah, so what else could I help you with in terms of the class, any of the readings that you've done so far, the different assignments? What's working for you so far? What perhaps could be done differently to help you out?
I mean, honestly, for me, I feel like the class is pretty straightforward how you have it organized, and so it makes it a lot easier for, I would say, us as students to get the work done, because it's literally all in one place that we can find it, and you break it down in a lot of the videos.
Yeah,
When you
again,
went
try
over,
my best,
yeah.
like I would again in the classroom. But sometimes it just takes a little bit more. The course log, for example. That's something I don't do during the face-to-face meetings. So, as originally planned, we were going to meet face to face, and I wouldn't have done that. But because sometimes you can feel a little bit more disconnected from your courses when you're not physically in meeting, on a bi-weekly basis, I think that's as good as to remind people that, hey, there's this class going on. We have dates that we're doing things, dates that you need to turn things in. And also it's just a reminder of kind of what I'm doing. Because, certain days there may not be anything new on the D2L site, but other days, like yesterday, I uploaded a new lecture, I uploaded two in-class assignment guidelines. So I just want to let you know when that information is there. So it's there, but also, a lot of students like to sometimes work ahead, especially kind of as we move forward. You're going to get ahead of the game a little bit, perhaps. And when the information is already there, that gives you an opportunity to work ahead if you want to. Yeah, so I apologize if those course log emails sometimes are, overwhelming. But again, I have the best intentions. I just want everybody to be on the same page and just make sure that nothing catches you off guard or that I'm forgetting to tell you something, because it can be confusing for me. Just imagine I'm trying to, manage 4 different D2L sites and make sure that I'm telling all my classes that I'm doing this, doing that. So not only do I hope it benefits you, but it also benefits me, keeping my mind in order. And when my mind's in order, usually the classes are going to be in order too. So anything else?
So are we meeting every Wednesday at the same time?
I'm going to play around a little bit, just because I know, some students have emailed me saying that they couldn't attend today. Typically, what I want to do is schedule these meetings more or less in the same time period that we would have met face to face. Because our class, I believe, would have been a 2:35 to 3:50 class period if we would have continued to meet face to face. And usually that means that you don't have any overlap with other courses that you may be taking in a more of a live manner. And so that's what I plan to do. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, because some people are working jobs now that they wouldn't have been working otherwise. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, it should work. But I wanted to meet today on a Wednesday rather than a Tuesday or Thursday, just because we do have your first opportunities to turn in assignments, the in-class assignment that everybody should do, and the reading reaction that it's your first opportunity to do it if you want to. So look, I'll send out an email, I'll let you know next week. But off the top of my head, your session, your class, I'm planning on meeting around probably 2:30, if not 2:30, 3 o'clock on Thursday. And we'll kind of get a feel for that, if that works well for the class as a whole. And always feel free to join the other intro class session as well. I think I had about 5 of your students actually join my 1 o'clock session, just because the time worked better for them. So, I want to, ideally we're going to get something consistently where you don't have to kind of look out for it, you just know. And so that may start next week, Thursday, 3 o'clock-ish. And then if that works, if I get a good vibe from that, we'll continue to do that on a weekly basis. And I encourage you to set up, kind of personal Zoom meetings as well, whether it be a one-on-one meeting, or if you want to get a few students together that if you feel more comfortable kind of doing it that way, I'd be more than happy to do it too. So, yeah, I'm just trying to think of other things that I, told. One thing that I brought up, both kind of individually to students, but also during the last session, is that, it's normal right now to feel a little bit uneasy, a little bit unsure of what's going on. If you met face to face, you'd have the same type of confusion for the first couple weeks. But after those first couple weeks, as long as you're doing what you need to be doing, then you're gonna get a peace of mind. That uneasiness will be replaced with easiness, and you should be more comfortable in terms of knowing what's going on and what you should be doing along the way. So, don't think it's this you. Don't think it's just because it's online. That does throw a little bit of a wrench into it, but nevertheless, that uneasiness is there, every semester. No matter if you're a first-year student, no matter if you're like me here, been around for a while. The first week of classes is always a little bit different compared to week 3, where we kind of hit our stride, and you're pretty, pretty much everybody's on the same page.
Somebody had put a question into the chat that asked, if we do all of our reading reactions, after the 6 that you count, will you still count the other ones that we did as extra credit or no?
Yeah, so you're required to do 6. And then basically, what I say is you can do 3 additional reading reactions. So the most you can do are 9. So you can do 9 reading reactions, and you could do 7 if you want to do 1 extra. You could do 8, which would be 2 extra ones. So the most you can do 3 different extra ones. And what I do is, no matter if that's the first one of the semester or if it's the last one, if it's a low score, I take it out and I convert it to the 3 points extra credit. So, it works to your advantage that you get the extra credit points, but also you get the highest scores that you earned counted towards the 60 points for the assignment. And in terms of extra credit, I will be doing more of those discussion, kind of student profile, get to know one another type things. I'm trying to think about how, because I'm worried about every time I do it, I'm giving you guys extra credit. And so everybody's going to get like over 100% in the class, which is fine, but you know what I mean. So you'll be doing a few of those, another way to earn extra credit. But the reading reactions, again, the more you do, the better off you're going to be in terms of the class and getting a lot out of the class. So any other questions? I got my chat up now, so I can see if you want to ask me a question through chat, or if you just want to jump in.
I have a question about the reading reaction.
Yeah.
So if we hit like all the qualifications, I guess it is, for the reading reaction, do we like automatically get like the grade, like 100, or do you grade it like a normal paper?
Yeah, so it's graded like a normal paper. So, for example, if you don't highlight kind of the main idea. So, for example, the second reading reaction opportunity is the Clarke article. And so basically the main idea for Clarke is the importance of culture for society. And if you don't talk about culture, then I'm going to take off a few points, because that's something that you need to kind of take out of the article. And so basically I'm asking you to kind of hit on the main ideas, and there's something that was really a big part of the reading, and then I will take off a couple points if you don't bring it up, if you don't talk about it. So that's how I approach those. And again, once you turn it in and I give you feedback, the first and second times, then you become more comfortable with it in terms of what the assignment actually is asking you to do and how I go about grading the assignments. That's the same thing in terms of the book reports. What I'll be doing, I'll provide you guys specific directions for each book report, and I basically grade you on those same directions. So again, it makes it easier for you because you know what to do, and it makes it easier for me because I know how I'm going to be grading you. Anything else in general for our class? Again, I'm still trying to, get used to this. Try not to look like at myself, but to look at the center of the screen. Lighting issues always looks, just the light I get in from this side of the room, like I said, two-faced or whatever. So I mean, I'm doing my best to, do my best for you. Um, I think I've hit my stride a little bit in terms of getting everything ahead a little bit. So, allows you to work ahead. It, doesn't put a time crunch on you. If I only gave you the assignments, the day before it was due, then you guys would feel a little bit rushed. So I try to get it out to you early as I can. But, at the same time, just like you, I'm juggling, multiple classes at once. So just have to manage my time as wisely as I can, just like you. What about in general? Any questions about, you know, this college life or approaching, academics or anything like that? Because in addition to being, your instructor, I always like to help in any other means. So other classes, scheduling courses for future semesters, just studying tips, writing tips. I'm not an expert, on those items, but I've been in college as a student, as a worker for the majority of my life. So I've picked up a trick of the trade every now and again. So I'd always be happy to try to pass down any knowledge if you're interested. Yeah, I mean, I think I've basically said everything that I like to say in terms of the class organization. What about the anybody had a chance to go over the Mills reading yet?
I did, and I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of confusing at first.
Yeah, and the Mills piece, the readings you'll see they'll fluctuate in terms of difficulty, and they fluctuate in terms of length. So the Mills, it's about average in terms of length, but it's probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest. And I apologize for making that the first reading, but it's the ideas I want you to take away from it. So what I talk about in the class lectures, what I ask you to do in the first in-class assignment, basically helps you kind of think sociologically. Assuming that's a lot of people's first sociology class. What do we do as sociologists? We try to connect the social world to the personal world. And that's what the article really gets at. So that's why I kind of use it up front. And the second piece, the Clark piece, is probably the easiest, as well as the shortest article you're going to have all semester. So it'll jump around a little bit in terms of page length and difficulty, but as long as you're kind of trying your best, asking me questions if you have questions, following the course lectures, you should be good to go. I see it in all my classes, trying to meet you halfway. You have to put in the work on your end. If you don't do the readings, it's going to be tough for me to explain you what's going on in the readings. But if you do them, and I kind of meet you halfway by trying to provide you what you need to get out of it, then hopefully everything comes together. So, likewise, if you do the readings, but I don't talk about them, I ignore them like you never did them to begin with, then I'm not doing my part. So you're left with a little bit of uncertainty on your end. So, education's that kind of two-way street where, you're doing your job, I do mine, and we come together to hopefully create that learning experience. So yeah, I mean, that Mills piece, I asked the class as a whole, and everybody's like, like I tried my best. And I think I get it, but hopefully by the time we finish that class period, everybody's like, okay, I kind of have a better understanding of what's going on. And so just, I don't want to keep you here too long, but just for a minute, what I'll do is pull up the first in-class assignment. And so what I ask you to do basically is apply that sociological imagination to our lives today. So here are some examples. And so, so I'll take the voter one. So the assignment basically gives you two different social facts, and I ask you to pick one of them. So here's a social fact in terms of being able to vote today or not. And so it's how kind of who you are in terms of your life story, what you do, what you've done is connected to larger social circumstances. So for the most part, I could ask you guys, how many could vote if you wanted to vote in November? And the vast majority of students would raise their hand and say, yeah, I can vote, if I wanted to. If you meet requirements of age, requirements of citizenship, then everybody in the class kind of raises their hand. Yeah, I could vote. And then I say, let's look back if we lived in a different history, a history where you had to be a man to vote. You had to be male. So all of a sudden, all those hands in the class, about half of them drop down. That's typically half of our class, women or half, men or the other half. So those people who could vote and make that part of their life story, it changes dramatically if you just kind of grew up in a different history. So now, all the men are kind of having their hands in the air still. And then I say, let's move further back in history where he had to be male, but he had to be a white male. And so then, a good chunk of the hands go down once again. And so basically you have, all the white men in the class who, if we lived in a certain history, they'd be the only ones in class who could vote. And then, I say, if we go back even earlier, when we started to vote in our country, you had to be male, you had to be white, but also you had to be a landowner. And as a landowner, it's kind of that class dimension. They only wanted kind of rich people to vote. And so basically everybody in the class lowers their hand besides me, because I do happen to be a landowner. So it just kind of changes in terms of who can vote, who cannot, based upon the social circumstances in which you find yourself. So basically that's what you're gonna be doing in the first in-class assignment. I ask you to pick, why are people compared to the past? And why do we have more debt? Or why do people listen to more types of music today in terms of the different genres of music you listen to compared to the past? What is it about life today that creates more debt for people, or that creates more musical diversity in terms of what people listen to? So does that make sense in terms of how you'd approach that first in-class assignment?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here I'll kind of leave it up to you. If you guys want to, leave the meeting, feel free to. And otherwise, feel free to hang out, and I can, talk to you a bit about anything you want. If you want to go, thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming. And, I'll be in touch with you in terms of our next live session, but also any new, ongoings in our class. So thanks again. Feel free to leave. If not, hang out, and I'll stay with you.
All right, Mr. Ryan.
Hey.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the thing due tomorrow, is it like it has to be 2 pages?
Yeah, so the in-class assignment doesn't have to be. The in-class assignment, basically, you're going to be, answering what's asked of you, doing what's asked of you, and the length will vary from one student to another. As long as you kind of answer the questions, you'll be good to go. But the reading reaction papers have to be double spaced, around 2 full pages. So again, I'm not going to be overly strict and make sure that everything, but if I can tell, it's only, if it's less than page and a half or something, then that's when I will take off some points, because that's when usually you haven't hit on everything that you need to hit on. So, to answer, the what, how, and to add those 2 questions on at the bottom, that should take more or less, 2 pages when you're doing it double spaced.
So those are both due tomorrow?
The reading reaction is not necessarily due. It's just your first opportunity to do it.
Oh, okay.
because you need to get 6 done by the end of the semester. But you
Oh.
can do the reactions on any of the readings outside of our books.
Mm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, but the sooner you turn it in, the more comfortable you're going to be in terms of doing it later on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Bye.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I just had a quick question about the extra credit
Okay.
with the reading responses.
Yeah.
So each reading response after 6, is that 3 credits, 3 extra credit points each, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, what I do, specifically is at the end of the semester, I count up your 6 highest scores. So it could have been, the last, 6 that you did, although you did 9. So rather than just taking the first 6, I just take the 6 highest scores, and then anything left over, I convert into the 3 points extra credit.
And that's 3 each extra, right?
Yeah. So basically, you could earn 9 extra credit points if you do, 9 reading reactions. You could earn 6 extra credit points if you do 6 or 7 reading reactions, or 8, excuse me. And if you do 7 reading reactions, you would get 3 extra credit points.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Sorry, I was just a bit confused, because I knew that there was 3 extra, and I thought it was a point each, and then I was like, maybe it was 3 each, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, now it's 3 each. So every one you do extra, you get 3 points for. And then for the other assignments I'll be doing throughout the semester, I'll be specific in terms of, how much points you'll get for it. So if you did, the student profile one, you got 3 extra credit points for that as well. But for some of the extra credit assignments, I'll probably lower it down to like 2 points. It's because, before you know it, you have like 50 extra credit points. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks for, coming today, and just keep in touch.
Will do. I also, another quick question. How easy was it to transfer onto online?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was easier because we were forced to in the spring, right? And so it was almost easier because you had to learn it. You didn't have a choice. You just had to go in and try your best. And so, I learned some things along the way, but it's just different in terms of the time involved. Like, I could go in, and just bang out, lectures, and they take, a couple hours each week. Where now, doing a lecture, I start with the slides. I do a PowerPoint first. And then basically my routine is I do a PowerPoint for each class, all 3 of the classes I'm teaching: intro, social psychology, and theory. And then after I get 3 done, I'll do lectures. So like tomorrow is going to be lecture day. I just lecture over the outlines. I lecture over the slides. And then I upload them. So basically it takes me, 2 full days of work to do what I would do in 3 hours in a normal week.
Yeah, I bet.
So that's kind of a lot of faculty was kind of reuse everything. To me, it feels fresh when I do it like this, rather than, if I just, I don't know.
I do like the synchronous meetings better. They're a little, it's easier, I think, to pay attention to an actual class than a video.
So, I just, but I'll get into my groove and I'll get ahead of things, and it'll be, it's fine. But like you said, it is different, although it's very similar at the same time. I'm not saying anything different now than I would say in the classroom or vice versa. It's just the delivery approach and the kind of time commitment it takes.
Yeah, and the questions. You can't really ask a direct question while you're watching a video. You gotta kind of have a roundabout for it. But yeah, I'm going for secondary math education, and I'm taking education courses this semester, and we were supposed to be observing, but because of the COVID, we're trying to find ways around it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, for some disciplines more than others, I think that transition is a bumpy one.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, like teaching stats, we have social statistics in our department. And so doing, math is much more difficult. Like Dr. Mahaffey, doing a online kind of asynchronous, it took her a year to put that class together.
Oh, dang.
So our current professor teaching stats is doing it live. So everything, no record. I mean, she probably records these sessions, but she said I didn't have the time to put the class together. I don't have the time to put the recordings together. So I'm just going to do it live, and hopefully everybody can show up.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It'll be
maybe
interesting.
perhaps if I teach online again, I could try the live synchronous, because I get what you're saying. I think it's easier to kind of pay attention and ask those questions. But what I experienced back in the spring is just like everybody's lives kind of got turned upside down, and so it's hard for people to kind of be where everybody else needed to be at the same time. And so I just kind of felt bad leaving students behind if they were working, or if they had poor internet access, or if their computers weren't working properly. The next thing you're a week behind. It wasn't your fault. It's because your computer or your internet didn't work, or because you had to work because a family member got laid off.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm sticking with this now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I had trouble with that in the spring. There was a storm or two in April where our Wi-Fi just got cut out, and I was like, well, I can't do anything. And I couldn't email my professor saying my Wi-Fi's out because my Wi-Fi was out.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah, I don't know if how early you got up on Monday, but on Monday I was trying to start to make YouTube format videos because some people couldn't access the direct link to the Zoom videos. And so what I did, I got up early and I went to, Zoom to download the Zoom recordings so I could upload them to YouTube. And the Zoom crashed because basically, a lot of schools started that Monday. And so it was down only for a couple hours. But you shouldn't be shocked. Everybody's using the same software. Everybody's using the same kind of, internet technologies. You're going to have trouble. Yeah. It's going to happen.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. And just let me know if I can help you out in any way.
I will do. Have a great week.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.